Still very hot. 6 o'clock in the evening at the moment. Still punching way over 30 degrees here. Anyway, this is Mailbag. These are questions and comments that you guys send through to the channel. I do my humble best to try and answer them, or I throw them out to the community to see if anybody else has got a comment. But before we get going, normal parish notices apply. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, why not? The subscribe button's the one for you. If you want to be notified when this sort of content and other content gets posted on the channel, it's the bell icon you want to go for. Down here somewhere is the Patreon address. Consider supporting the creation of videos on the channel by supporting me over on Patreon. The Instagram tag and the Facebook page are also on there. That's where other shenanigans and announcements get made. But now back to the main video. So, the first one for this section comes from Poppit TV. In response to the SMR on the system SY85 being complete and new programs for the CX5M, which I did in May 2020. And I've got a whole raft of stuff I want to do with the CX5M, but I just haven't got around to doing it at the moment. But I have written a bunch of stuff that I want to go over on the CX5M, so watch out for that stuff. And they write, thanks for the SY85 vids, mine's still going strong. Had it since 95, although I haven't tried the disc for years and I'm nervous to do so. Interesting to learn their diagnostic feature, looking forward to hearing more on that. Pretty sure I have a glossy brochure and maybe a memory card too. Ooh. And I remember it provided some old PC RAM I had, and I did a bit of dabbling with loading samples for a while. Yeah, the SY85 is quite interesting from that point of view in terms of loading samples. You can't create samples on it, but you can load samples into it. So, first thing I've got to say about the SY85 is I've been incredibly impressed with this with the keyboard. It's got a nice key bed to it, and as you say, the standard stock tones that Yamaha stuck on it in various guises from various sources that I've got have actually been really, really not bad. But I've had to put it in storage, unfortunately. So at the moment, the keyboard is in storage while I've been moving equipment around. So I have to be okay with the housemates. Unfortunately, I can't just have all my equipment all over the place, because otherwise they will get upset with me. So if I bring something out of storage, I've got to put something in storage, if that makes any sense. So I kind of intended actually this weekend to make the diagnostic video, but I've kind of suspended all video work and workshop work for the last few days. I haven't gone and got anything out of storage. I haven't gone and put anything in storage. It's just far too hot. This workroom where I normally play and do some of the videos is way too hot at the moment. It's way too hot way into the evening, so it's pointless doing videos there. And the workshop, to be honest, is just swelteringly hot. So I haven't done any video making from that perspective. So all that sort of stuff kind of gone on hold at the moment. But I do intend to make the diagnostic video. The other thing is that I've been directing people to a guy in the US for the disk drive, and everybody who's bought the disk drive from this guy in the US has reported it has come across, it has plugged in, and it has just worked. So it was a big thumbs up. However, I was looking at the guy's eBay page the other day, and I noticed that at the moment he's reporting that he only has one of these things left. Now, I don't know whether he's going to get any more, but he only has one left, and I must have directed about 10 people there, so he's probably done quite well out of me and you guys recently. But I'll put the link below this video just in case you need it if you fire the disk up and find it doesn't work. But there is more to be featured about this synth going forward once we get out of this heat and other things that are going on. So watch this space. Next one comes from Sean Curran, and it's in response to a mailbag I did on the area video called "This Video Lacks lacks details, which I did in July 2020. And Sean writes, honestly, I lost count of how many times I rewired the MIDI in the studio over the years. To make large, complex MIDI setups work, you really need to spend time planning, testing, and tweaking how it all fits together. And isn't that just the truth? MIDI is really simple, but it's really complex as well. To keep my head straight, I found Visio does a great job with MIDI diagrams, while Excel captures studio config management. And to be honest, I have to say I wouldn't disagree with you on those comments, because I believe you can do it with Visio, and you can capture config with Excel. In fact, actually, my standard patch configuration is just an Excel file where I print it out with all the standard configs and all the standard patches, and then blanks for all the stuff that I sort of randomly patch. So I can just print them out, and then as I patch things in, I can write them down, and then when I change the patch in, I can pull those wires out, print another one out, and repatch it. So I tend to use that. But my point really was about the comments was, I intend to do some videos on setup, because lots of people ask me questions about setup, and I really want to cover that off. And I've started. I started doing it a while back, and I need to work out how I'm going to do this going forward, because it's quite. This sounds wrong. It's quite simple, but it's complex. MIDI can be very complex, and it's all to do with the fact you've got 16 channels that you're routing around. But as long as you get the basics right, then you're able to work your way through it. Originally, I was going to kind of use a large whiteboard in one of the meeting rooms at work. So I started this video, and then I stopped it, and I started and I stopped it. And then I thought, well, you know what? I can go into one of the meeting rooms late in the afternoon, early evening, when nobody's in the building using it, and I can actually do the video there, because we've got big 12-foot whiteboards in there that you can just draw on. And I thought that might be a really good idea. However, COVID hit, and for the company I work for, if you want to go into the office at the moment, you need dispensation from the CEO, the Prime Minister, the Queen, the Archbishop of Canterbury, and His Holiness the Pope. So nobody goes into the offices at the moment. We are completely out of the offices across the board, apart from sort of the operational teams. I forgot on that one. Wee Nicola. And if you don't know who Wee Nicola is, Wee Nicola runs the north of the UK. So I just kind of haven't got round to remaking the videos, but I will be remaking those videos shortly. It's quite amazing, but I've been out here probably for about an hour recording, and the sun is slowly moving over there, which is why the shadow on my face is changing. And I'm using my trusty clapperboard, and this thing is red hot, and it's only been out here an hour. Just shows you how hot it is. And the final, is it the final one? No, there's two more to go on this one. So this one comes from Femi George. In relation to the Kordbot video, what awaits you when you boot up, I did in March 2019. And he says, if I remember correctly, there is a mode where the Kordbot suggests the next note to play when playing chords. Do you know where this is? I remember seeing it somewhere on YouTube, thanks. Now, I'm going to throw this out to community, because I'll be honest, and I'll be buggered if I can find it. And I have a feeling that this was one of the functions that was kind of in that whole sequencer area that never has, at this point in time, been delivered. I think it might have been in one of the earlier firmware versions, but it's been removed. And I think it's been removed because they are recoding the whole of the firmware at the moment for the Kordbot. So I have to be honest and say, I'm not running the latest version of firmware on my Kordbot. I went through the version of firmware I have on my Kordbot looking for this function, and I couldn't find it. I will be upgrading my Kordbot to the latest version of firmware, and if you've seen the videos that have come out from Brad recently, you will know that he's actually implemented a process now that once you get onto a certain version of firmware, you will no longer have to actually plug it into the computer to do the upgrade. You load the upgrade onto the SD card and plug it in and do it that way, which will be so much easier than the mechanism they've got at the moment. But that's a different conversation. So out to the community, anyone else know how this feature works? Because I can't find it. And this is the last one for this section. This comes from Michael Walls. In response to, again, another Kordbot video, Kordbot features, M1 load, sounds eBay shipping, and synth video I did back in April 2020. And he writes, Hi mate, I have a question regarding USB MIDI audio hubs. Recently saw a post on the Elektron Overbrigde or Overhub, which apparently functions as an external aggregator to a computer, which you can send MIDI and audio signals simultaneously to without having to, say, change your I/O input settings in the DAW. For me, if my assessment is correct, this would mean being able to run mic inputs, synth impacts, and onboard VSTs at the same time without having to muck about and change inputs when I want to put down a vocal. Is this your take on the Elektron hub? Are there any other similar solutions out there? Best, Micotron. Well done, Mike. So there are a number of solutions out there for running audio and MIDI at the same time. For MIDI routing and that sort of stuff with USB MIDI and normal MIDI, there's things like the Mio for my connectivity. There's also things from some of the audio sources, so the Focusrites, the Audio Technica, and other manufacturers, Mark of the Unicorn, where you can run both MIDI and audio out through the same interface, or in and out through the same interface. So there are a number of solutions out there for doing that function. Personally, I've always kind of kept them separately, so I use my Mio 10 for MIDI. I use the Focusrite for audio. That's how my studio works up, and I aggregate all the inputs up in a standard way from both those sources, and I never have to change them once they're aggregated. It's very interesting looking at the Elektron site and go and have a look at the Overbrigde and Overhub, what they bring to the party. Now, one of the things I would say is that the Overhub appears to be a universal powered USB port extender. So the input to the computer it seems to be a US3 input. So that means it's quite a fast specification, and the outputs from the actual hub are a combination of 2 and 3 and 1. And it looks like a good solution to extend your USB infrastructure because it's powered. And the problem with many of these hub-type solutions is they're not powered. And as soon as you start to load them up with a lot of bits and bobs, the fact they're not powered means they start to draw power from the computer. And if there's not enough power in the computer, you start to get weird things happening. So the fact that the hub is powered is good. And looking at the FAQs on that particular website as well, it says that you can use that particular hub infrastructure for other stuff other than Elektron. But it is designed for Elektron equipment, and it really is designed to allow you to plug multiple pieces of Elektron equipment into your computer, into your DAW. And that's kind of where the Overbrigde software comes in, and it's kind of designed to integrate the Elektron hardware into your DAW software. From what I can see, I think it adds a few more features in, but basically it's designed to mesh the two together. So if you're not using Elektron hardware, then the Overbrigde software is probably not going to be of any use to you. But the Overhub, I think, is a very useful little tool, and can be used to extend your USB port infrastructure on your computer that's running your DAW. Especially, it won't draw any power for your computer because the power is self-powered on the hub. Hope that sort of is a little bit clearer. But for this one, live long and prosper. See you next time.